more popular videos with kids today. And it's a great example of how a child can come up with music and how we have a responsibility to help them realize. We have a responsibility, an obligation to help them realize what's in their head. Then again, we don't know what's there. We're guessing what's up there. I don't know what happened. Fenn, this is that Dinosaurs in Love Fenn thing. I assume that Fenn came up with Dinosaurs in Love outside of, away from the piano, and that her father heard something and ran with it. Okay, that's essentially where we're going with this Reggio-inspired approach. You hear something and you help the child take that something and fit it into conventional language. That's what it is, conventional language, because they have to eventually speak a language that everybody can understand. And for music, that's a Western harmony, you know? That would be 1, 5, 4, 5, 1. That's what he heard. The father heard that. She sang, okay, back up. She sang this thing, and first of all, her father had to recognize that it was a pattern of sounds, not just language. And it was the language, it was the thought that the music supports. The music wasn't there in isolated. The music embellished the thought, the feeling, which is just fine. The father hears this and then says, oh, okay, bum, 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 okay? She's saying, Dinosaurs in Love. She's saying that. But it could have been in her ear. Let me see if I can figure this out. Dinosaurs in love. Dinosaurs eating people. It could have been a minor note. We don't know if it was a major note or a minor note. Was she hearing minor? Was she hearing major? It works. But it also could be using the key D, C, B flat. Those are the notes she's saying. It could have been G minor. And who made the decision that it's major or minor? That's one of the problems. Who makes that decision? Think about it. I'm all for this. I do this all the time, and yet we have to be respectful of what the child is thinking. More often than not, the child goes, no, that's not what I was, that's not the music. Even though I take what the child gives me and try to fit it into Western sound, it could be that the child goes, no, that's not it. It could be, and I wasn't there, I wasn't over there in the UK, it could have been Fenn went, dinosaurs eating people, dinosaurs in love. We don't know. And then her father has to figure out, okay, how does that work in a conventional musical idiom? And he made a choice. We are going to make choices for children so that it fits into a Western idiom. Right or wrong, that's what's gonna happen, okay? Just know it, own it, and accept it. We're gonna make choices. Dinosaurs in love. Dinosaurs eating people. That's an acceptable harmony. So how do we know if it's minor or is it major? It's convention. It works, and everyone hears Fenn's tune filtered through her father's ears. That's not good, that's not bad, it just is. We can't take that away. You didn't do a bad thing. We need to be cognizant, we need to be aware that we have an awesome responsibility for kids, 2 kids, and just make sure you're going to the source. What's the source material? It's the kid, and it's temporal, and it's kid is not, a child is not going to sing in tune, probably. The child is not going to be pitch perfect. The child may hear a pitch and then vocalize something that's not quite there. And we have to take this not quite there and fix and establish, okay, this is what it's going to be forever. Yeah. And that's our responsibility. We could have a different accompaniment instead of the straight block chords, which is influenced by the aesthetic of Fenn's father. If you listen, and I'm not saying he's a bad person, he's a great person. If you listen to his music, right? Go, and his music is on the internet. Go find his music and listen to it. And you're probably gonna hear an influence of his musical aesthetic, of his musical shtick, whatever he does, is going to come across in Fenn's song. And Fenn's musical aesthetic, her way of thinking, may not be exactly her father's. We need, and my aesthetic is jazz. That's what I do best. That's my go-to thing is jazz. I know that. I filter everything through jazz, probably, and I need to guard myself against unwittingly influencing someone else's composition by my own musical sensibilities. Case in point, a child I work with could have this hip-hop thing going on in their head, and I am the last person on this planet who needs to help that person, help that child realize his or her music. I don't have that sensibility. And you may not have that sensibility, and yet we need to acknowledge that that may be the musical aesthetic of the child. And in a visual world of like wire or clay or paint, because it isn't so personal, we can push ourselves, we can hold that painting or drawing or whatever it is at arm's length. Music is so much of who we are that the wrong sound could make us bristle. That's just the way it is. It's not right, it's not wrong, it just is. What is in the child's world? And so we have to know our kids as much as we can. If you're working in an inner city school, you need to understand that musical aesthetic, and you need to embrace it and build skills that help children embrace that musical or bring their music out. And some could say, well, we're here to expand their horizons. Sure, yeah. Expand their horizons to Western art music, which is the only music worth hearing, is the traditional way. If you work in an inner city school, you're gonna have to understand that musical aesthetic. If you work in a bilingual largely Spanish-speaking school, and everything is Tejano. You need to understand that aesthetic so that you can help the children understand that. A lot of children's aesthetic is influenced by Disney. Yeah. A lot of what they're hearing and they're creating is going to be very Disney-esque. It's going to be the latest musical. So keep all those very varied ideas in your mind, and just do your best. That's all we can ask.